Well, hello and welcome back to the DMCA Chess Academy. This is Coach Ritesh Mathew. Today I'll show you a chess trap from the Queen's Gambit declined line and the sub-variation of which is called the Cambridge Springs variation of the Queen's Gambit declined line. So here's how things will transpire. White will play the pawn to d4 and you're playing from black side, so you'll respond with pawn to d5. And here white will offer up a gambit pawn c4, so white is inviting black to capture the pawn. All right, but you playing black, you're going to deny, so this is called Queen's Gambit declined. Okay, so here white will continue with a development move, adding a second attacker, so there's a lot of tension building up on d5 square at this point. So if you're playing black, you can continue with a development move, knight to f6. Now here white will continue with developing his bishop to the g5 square and thereby pinning our knight. All right. Now here, if you can see, there are 1 and 2 attackers on the d5 square. But right now we also have 3 defenders. Well, technically the knight is again not defending because knight is pinned to the queen. So let's just count 2 defenders for now. So pawn and the queen are defending the d5 square. Okay, so here in my earlier video I had suggested that you move the knight b to d7. All right, so here what happens is, what you're trying to do is you're trying to take away one defender of the pawn. So queen is no longer defending the pawn on d5 because knight is blocking right now. So you can watch my previous video called Queen's Gambit declined white blunders. I'm going to put it in the description box, so you can click on it and watch the video to see more details about this trap. So the main idea here was, if white thinks that they can capture the pawn for free, black will recapture it back, and then white will think that he gained an extra pawn over here, but this is a blunder, and black was supposed to capture the knight, and it seems like black is giving up the queen. But if white captures the queen, then black can give a check and this diagonal is weak. So the only way white can deal with this is by blocking the check with the queen, and then here black can capture the pawn, black can capture the bishop. And if white makes any developing moves, then black can finally regain the queen. And then all said and done, you know, here black has 3 minor and 2 major pieces, and white only has 2 minor and 2 major. So this was the whole idea. So going back, when you play the knight b to d7 here, in my earlier video, which is Queen's Gambit declined black blunders, which is in the description box, if white doesn't fall for your trick, because he knows that the bishop can come here and eventually the queen will be lost. So if white doesn't fall for your trick and plays the pawn to e3 here, white can escape. Should the bishop come here and check after all the exchanges, in the earlier video, if you see, the diagonal became weak and white would eventually lose the queen. But instead of all that, this time white is smart and he knows that trick, so he'll open up the e3. Now what happens is white king can escape from e2. So what that means, that now this pawn is indeed in trouble. There is a serious tension on d5 because the bishop trick is not going to work again, because king will escape. So with that in mind, since the tension is now real on the d5, if you're playing black, I suggest that you add a second defender now to this pawn. Okay, so here white will continue with developing his bishop to d3, and here I suggest that you do the Cambridge spring variation by moving your queen to the a5 square. Now this move does 3 things. We accomplish 3 things by moving the knight to a5. Number 1 is we are unpinning the knight, our black knight. Number 2 is we are pinning their knight, right? And number 3, there is a very sneaky X-ray attack on the bishop. White bishop is not protected by anyone, and if our pawn is out of the way, then queen is doing an X-ray attack on the bishop. So these are the three things that are accomplished if you play the queen to the a5 square. Now here, if white blunders by moving the knight to e2, then you can start your trap. So here knight e2 is a clear blunder. So here you can capture this pawn, and let's start doing the math. Black is plus $1 right now, okay? But after the plus 1, you know, white has a couple of logical looking moves. Maybe white will capture our knight on f6, or maybe white will capture our pawn, okay? So let's first look at this variation. What if white bishop captures our knight? So at this point, black is plus 1, okay? Plus 1 and minus 3. So plus 1 and minus 3 is a minus 2 loss for black. But after minus 2 loss, black can capture this bishop and be plus 1 again. So right now black is plus 1, and not only plus 1, but he is attacking $3 simultaneously. One is attack on the bishop, one is attack on the knight. So black is plus 1. Now here, if bishop saves himself, then plus 1 and then plus 3, okay? So plus 4 and then queen will capture. So it's still plus 3. So if bishop saves himself, then it's still plus 3. But if knight saves, then plus 1 and then again plus 3. So black's total profit is plus 4 in this variation. So let's go back. So that was what if bishop captures the knight. But what if the bishop captures the pawn? Let's check that variation. So right now black is plus 1 profit, okay? What if bishop captures and the pawn and it's minus 1? So again it's equal. Plus 1 minus 1 is equal. So if white goes for this variation, then again queen can capture this bishop for free. So black is up by plus 3. So try this little trick, Cambridge spring variation in the Queen's Gambit decline. And no matter what white does, if bishop captures the pawn or bishop captures the knight, in either variation black will come out with a plus profit. So I hope you like this little trap. So do try this on your opponent if you see the knight e2 blunder, okay? So do like and subscribe to my channel Chess Melody for more chess and music related videos. Thanks for watching, and you have a nice day.